Why would I make them so uncomfortable?
It probably has to do with your reputation. They feel your methods, your theories are...
Spooky? Do you think I'm spooky?
His face was so blank and expressionless. He didn't even seem human.
I'm not turning my back on anyone!
Have you ever found a metal implant in your body? Have you checked everywhere?
Mulder, you have to understand!
Put it down!
You put it down first!
Scully!
Movie! Fight the future!
Fight the future!
Unless it's not called that anymore, because it doesn't seem to be called that anymore.
I mean, it is in the movie, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look it up online, it says, like, also known as Fight the Future. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to a free episode of Fox Mulder is a Maniac.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. I'm one of your... Welcome. Oh, shit. This is big.
Yeah, this is massive.
I'm one of your hosts, David Bell.
I'm a second host, Tom Ryman.
And again, this is a free episode, or rather, part one is a free episode because we are covering the X-Files movie, Fight the Future.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody who's new, this is a podcast with myself and Tom where we've been going through so far 5 entire seasons of the X-Files. We have an episode for every goddamn episode to talk about just how incredibly off the rails Agent Mulder Scully. Agent Mulder.
Scully.
You always say their names together.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this for so long.
Sounds like a character from a Farrelly Brothers movie.
Tom.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I know. It felt like it was going to take forever for us to get to the movie when we started this podcast.
It's only been like 2 years.
It's been like 2 years. Yeah, that's it.
Maybe 3. We're maybe at 3 years in. I have no idea.
No,
how
I
time
think it's
works.
just 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot
man.
to do.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. Let's get into this. I highly suggest people watch the movie first.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it on HBO? Where can you watch it?
Oh, I don't know. I watched it on DVD.
Yeah, I have it on Blu-ray in a 2-pack with the follow-up film, I Want to Believe.
Oh, yeah. No need to cover that one.
I mean, we're gonna.
I guess we're gonna. Yeah, it's gonna be a real shame. Yeah. And if people are interested, the follow-up to this will be next week on our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you want to, see the whole episode as well as all the other episodes.
If you want to fuck around with that, yeah. Oh, we got so many good episodes. We got the Fluke Man. We got the dude that can start fires with his mind. We got Tombs. We got the werewolf. We got the sea monster episode. All kinds of episodes, man.
Oh, so many. You mean Big Blue?
Yeah, Big Blue.
The is a lake monster.
It's a lake monster, but you know.
Yeah, and in order to, I think they're going to have to listen to part 2 in order to know what rating we give this, right? Because at the end,
that's right.
Our episodes, we have Crazy Like a Fox.
Split it up. We can't really do. Can we do Crazy Like a Fox for each half?
I don't think we should.
I don't think we should either. I think that would be a disservice.
No, I think I was thinking at first, we do 2 numbers and average them. But no, that's not true either. We have to judge it as a whole at the end.
Right, because it's a single adventure, even though we're doing 2 episodes.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think we just skip it for this episode. I think we can have multiple enablers, because...
There's definitely a few.
Yes, there's always kind of a few.
There's a couple of fingers in Mulder's pie. Yep.
So this is this movie was of course written by Chris Carter
and Frank Spotsnitz.
Yeah, he wrote it in Hawaii.
Nice.
Because he's probably already really rich.
Yeah.
By the time this movie,
we've been talking about it on the show. This is the peak of the X-Files, season 5, highest rated season of the entire series. And then it led right into this movie. So this is like when the X-Files was on top of the world.
Yeah. It was directed by Rob Bowman, who has directed a lot of X-Files.
Yeah.
As well as the movies Elektra and Reign of Fire. I don't know if that does anything for you. The director of photography was Ward Russell, who I only point out because he did The Last Boy Scout, Tom.
Oh, dope. No, you can kind of see, you can kind of tell, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little Boy Scout.
It's a little, but definitely all the alleys that Mulder keeps pissing in, and that's like the only place he talks to Martin Landau is piss-soaked alleys.
They need to pick a new bar. It gets them in trouble. They wanted this to appeal to the casual or non-viewer of the X-Files. I'm not sure if they accomplished that, but they also said they wanted to actually give fans answers.
And yeah, that's interesting because I remember when I saw this movie for the first time, I had sort of become like an agnostic X-Files fan. I had fallen off watching the show regularly, but I wanted to see the movie.
Sure.
And I remember that was a big part of the marketing campaign, was like, you're finally going to get some answers about the conspiracy and the syndicate and the shadow government. And at the time, I remember thinking that wasn't true. I don't know why I came to that conclusion, because watching the movie again now, it really does spell out exactly what the conspiracy is.
Yeah.
And I forget that they hadn't really done that yet until this point. Like, you really didn't know what the fuck was going on.
This show was, as much as I hate this, it is a mystery box.
Oh, hell yeah. And it keeps changing things. And because it's a terrible example of one.
Yeah, the series finale, the first series finale, they also answered questions, and it was completely different from what I remember. And it turns out in this movie, the evil shadow government is FEMA, which is very funny to me.
I love, the syndicate is FEMA.
Yeah, fucking FEMA. Yeah, and then of course,
I mean that would explain why they dragged their feet on Katrina, because it's like, we want people to die, so there's more room for the aliens.
All right, it all makes sense. This was shot for 45 days. It was principal photography began in June of 1997. Very secretive set. They printed the script on red paper so it couldn't be copied. They leaked disinformation and fake endings. They originally wanted it to be shot like grand scope because they're like, movie. It's a movie.
Right. I was going to say the shooting schedule, coupled with kind of on how small of a scale this movie actually is surprising. But I guess it took them that long because they had to juggle this and the show at the same time.
Any guesses on where they shot this?
Los Angeles.
Yeah. And around Vancouver.
Sure.
They were like, we want to go places, and then they shot at the two places that
the show films at.
Yeah. But that's all right. Yeah, there's on the DVD is a big behind the scenes hosted by Mitch Pileggi.
Yeah, he's barely in this movie. That's something I want to.
So same with the cigarette smoking man.
There's a couple of things about this movie that make it feel weird in a way that like the South Park movie kind of feels weird now when you go back and watch it. Is that like this is the definitive X-Files movie, and like Skinner's not really in it. The lone gunmen are in one scene. Cigarette smoking man is barely there. Krychek's not in it.
It's they talk about it a little bit how they wanted to get big actors.
So they got Blythe Danner and Martin Landau.
Damn right, you get that Martin Landau.
That's their big actors.
His interview in the behind the scenes, he's putting way more thought into the character than he should be. He's talking about Kurtzfeld's like backstory and like what he was like as a young man, and it's like, wow, yeah. When you get Martin Landau, you get him.
He does the work. Yeah, you're gonna get Martin Landau, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
he's killing it in this too. He's great.
He really is.
He's only in 3 scenes, but he's really good.
He is. What stands out to me about this movie, which I'll definitely talk about in this one in part 2, is the special effects. It's like really good special effects.
To a point.
For its time, it's really good compositing. I thought a lot of practical effects.
There's a lot of practical. There's when the UFO takes off in the end gets pretty shaky in a couple of shots.
Yeah, but that was a model, and we'll get into that in part 2. But it was a really cool model, from what I could tell.
I'm talking about the composite, like when they crawl out of the hole, and then there's a shot of them like with the mountains behind them. It looks pretty rough.
Compositing is it's a little. I mean, it's just because it's a lot of model work.
It's also 1998.
Yeah, the cavemen, the alien. That's all Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff. Of Studio ADI. Mm-hmm. They made several aliens with like hero heads and stunt heads and mechanical bullshit in the faces. For the building blowing up, which we'll get into. Mm-hmm. We'll certainly get into.
Yeah, that's pretty major event in the movie.
That's a combination. That's a model, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Obviously they didn't blow up a building in downtown Dallas.
Well, they sort of did.
Interesting.
I think it's Los Angeles. They set a huge rig at the bottom floor of this building, and they had a stunt car drive away, and it looks like they set off a bomb in the making of. I think they have just catapults sending flames and debris out the front, and broke a lot of windows. The stunt car was rigged to look like it got hit by a shock wave. They filmed it with 14 cameras because,
Because you only get one shot at that, pretty much.
Yeah. Then they put David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson in a separate car and lurched that car way up in the air for the close-up. They actually did a lot of their own stunts, which is surprising.
I noticed that. There's a scene in the UFO. Yeah, it's actually inside the UFO when Mulder climbs out of the... No, it's when he discovers the Matrix and then slips and falls down that slide.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
And then he hops down on top of this it looks like a big it almost looks like a big propane tank. But he hops down on top of this tank and then hops down from the tank onto the ground, and it's 10 feet, which is and the set's really damp, and you can see that it's Duchovny that did it. And it's interesting that it doesn't sound like much, but that's a real prime candidate for your lead actor could get hurt in a very stupid way doing this stunt. If
you watch behind the scenes, they show him doing that, and he's just sliding down that fucker, and then he falls off the side.
Knee.
He falls off the side and shit. Duchovny's interview, he's like, "It was really fun doing that stuff because you don't have to do acting when you do it," and it's that's a very Duchovny way of thinking about it.
It's an interesting thing for you to say specifically, David.
So I guess let's just get into it, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, because I have some overall notes that don't go into anything, but we could probably just talk about it. I just love how funny it is that it begins with the Stand By Me kids getting fucked by the government.
Well, it begins
where
with
they're
we're
off on... Oh yeah, getting fucked by an alien.
Getting fucked by the alien government.
Yeah, the alien government.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of kids with shovels we're on an adventure.
Yeah, a bunch of adventure kids.
One of them gets killed by the government.
Yeah, that little boy is Lucas Black, who plays the main character in Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
That's amazing.
What a
career.
Yeah, he totally falls through this sinkhole in Texas and finds basically a cavern full of the black ooze from this spaceship that crashed there in prehistory. So we know that the aliens have been here for some time.
Yeah, quite some time.
And he and a bunch of firemen get murdered by the government.
Yeah, and then our heroes show up, and that brings us, I guess, into our first section. World's Luckiest Detective.
Do we need to describe the plot at all for the X-Files section?
Oh man, I mean, we could
just real briefly. It's after the season finale of season 5, so the X-Files. Cancer Man burned down Mulder's office. The X-Files have been closed. Scully and Mulder are just regular FBI agents now. They get called into a bomb threat at the federal building in Dallas, but it turns out the bomb is actually in a building across the street. And the section chief, Terry O'Quinn, orders everybody out of the building because he says he's going to defuse the bomb, but he doesn't. He just sits there and lets it explode. Why would he do that?
Yeah.
And it's because the explosion was used to cover up the dead bodies of this little boy and the firemen that the government murdered.
Yeah, and I don't know where to talk about this. I wrote about it in an article. Is that if you're trying to cover up the deaths of 5 people, you know how you don't do that?
Not with a really publicized bombing
You don't blow a building up. You know what you do?
You dump them in the ocean.
Bury them in the desert. Yeah, dump them. You're the government.
Yeah,
you can make 5 people disappear. Holy shit.
You can just cram them into the next shuttle launch. Just fucking throw them into space. What are you doing?
Yeah, throw them into space.
You're the shadow government. The only limits are your imagination.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a... And it sort of goes into the next section. It's such a easy way to get fucking noticed for your cover-up. What a ridiculous thing to do. It's guaranteed that it'll be over-investigated the way they do it by putting it in a fucking building explosion.
Yeah, it's a really silly way to dispose of a body.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what they did.
It's like trying to hide your pornography from your parents by taping it to your bedroom door.
Exactly. It's the last place they'll look.
They'll never look here.
Yeah. Yeah, where are we in the plot? So they
so
covered
the bombing
it up.
happens. They're getting blamed for it. Mulder's like, that's bullshit, but Scully quits, basically. She's like, they told me that I'm reassigned, so I'm just quitting because fuck this. Mulder gets, like, Martin Landau visits him, and he's like, I'm a friend of your dad's. You should look deeper into this. He uncovers that the bodies were actually hosts for a new form of the black ooze virus that it doesn't merely use the people it's not merely a means to control them as like a slave race. It literally mutates them into aliens.
Yeah, they're doing a very alien thing. To them.
Yeah. So he learns about this. The shadow government freaks out. One of them, the well-manicured man, freaks out when they discover this version of the virus because he's like, that's not the plan. Like, we were supposed to be, like, we were going to live like kings while the rest of humanity got enslaved. Turning us all into aliens was not part of the plan. So he helps Mulder, which results in him getting blown up.
Results in a hell of a sequence of events.
Yeah, which we will cover.
Yes.
Mulder and Scully find some more bees. Like, as we know, they use the bees to transmit. They spray crops with the virus. The bees pick it up via pollen and then sting people, and that's like how the virus will be transmitted. We kind of already knew that from the episode when Mulder dumped gasoline into his eyes.
Yeah, this is not Mulder's first bee rodeo.
No. Scully gets stung by one of the bees. So Mulder, the well-manicured man, before he just fucking leaves this planet in the most dramatic way possible, gives Mulder a vaccine that they think will work as long as he gets there within a certain amount of time. Yeah. Gives him the coordinates to this location in the Arctic, Antarctica, I believe, where he basically falls through a hole into the series of underground caverns and then discovers the Matrix / a Tool video beneath the earth, where it's like alien facility with a bunch of people in pods who are in various stages of being converted into new aliens via this virus.
Including, and I never noticed this, one of the cavemen.
Yep.
From the beginning. Yeah. Never noticed that.
Been in there for a
while.
Thousands upon thousands of years. Yeah.
Fate worse than death. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Mulder injects the vaccine into Scully's little mouth tube. He injects Scully
in her shoulder.
In her shoulder, just randomly in the shoulder. He's like, well, any old place will do. Yep. Just stabs her with the syringe. It backs up into the tube, into the whole thing, which like destroys all the pods. And the UFO takes off because the aliens are like, fuck this.
Yeah. Dude broke our spaceship.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
He carries Scully out. They get back to Washington for the hearing, which is being presided over by Blythe Danner, who is like, I kind of have to close this investigation because like most of the evidence is missing and nothing you're telling me makes any sense.
She's just like, I give up.
I can't do anything with this. And like she looks over at Skinner and is like, I don't know how you deal with this.
Yeah.
And then Scully basically like hands her one of the bee that stung her, and is like, there's currently not a section of the FBI that's equipped to investigate this. Hard wink, painful nudge, and then the X-Files get reopened, and then we learn that the Syndicate is still going forward with their plans to assist the aliens, although it seems like they have something else up their sleeves as well.
Right. And they got a whole bunch of more cornfield tits.
In Tunisia.
In a
place that seems to be called Tatooine, which really threw me for a loop. Did you notice that?
You thought they were on Tatooine?
Well, no, like when the text flashes at the bottom, like the place they named, the way it's spelled sure looks like it's pronounced Tatooine. So
that would have been quite the twist.
Yeah.
That would have been an amazing twist.
But yeah. So that's the film. That's X-Files Fight the Future.
Yeah. I want to start with a quick well-manicured man after dark. He shoots his driver, in that sequence, and then he tells and then he tells Mulder all the stuff, and he gets back in the car. He gets in the back seat.
He gets in the back seat.
Had the car not exploded, he would have gotten in the back seat and been like, "Bring me home." Oh
shit! Right. You see him like get out and quickly hurry over to the driver's door.
Okay, so now let's get into World's Luckiest Detective. This is when we talk about times that Mulder is just completely lucked into solving things, something that we've found happens a lot on the show.
It's this entire film.
It's the entire film. Look, we're only doing part 1.
That's true.
So we're only doing until he drives into the desert. And a lot happens between that. I mean, it starts by Mulder investigating the wrong building.
Playing a hunch.
Playing a hunch.
Never explained why.
Well, he says, whatever happened to playing a hunch, Scully? The element of surprise, random acts of unpredictability. If we fail to anticipate the unforeseen or expect the unexpected in a universe of infinite possibilities, we may find ourselves at the mercy of anyone or anything that cannot be programmed, categorized, or easily referenced. That is his motivation. That's what he's probably writing on the report as to why he was investigating the wrong building. And then they're leaving, and he's just like, "You want a soda?" And she's like, "Sure, yeah, get me a soda." And he just randomly goes in to get a soda, and guess what he finds?
It's
the fucking bomb.
The soda machine is the bomb.
Yeah, the only thing that he is going to touch or inspect,
right? Because he's just been walking aimlessly around on the roof of this other building. That's all he's been doing.
He's not
really looking for a bomb.
Yeah, he's then like, and then. He finds the bomb, luckily, but after it explodes, they're out of luck until Kurtzwell just shows up into his life at a bar and is like, I hear you need answers.
Mulder was just going to accept that the bomb blew up. He knew something was weird because the section chief sent them out, which was against protocol, and then just kind of exploded. Like, he didn't even really seem to try to defuse the bomb. And then, when he walks into the hearing, they tell him that there were 4 bodies they found in the rubble, and he's like, "That's not right. The building was empty." But he was just going to leave it alone until Martin Landau comes up to him as he's pissing on an Independence Day poster in an alley.
Right, he is.
And basically hands him the game. He's just like, "You need to check into those bodies. They were already dead."
And he's like, "Oh, I guess I'll do that." Yeah. And again, very lucky that the government did something this dumb.
Well, he points out that there's like a government lab in that, like a government research lab in that building, which is where the bodies were. So they were really blowing up the lab.
Right. But again, take the bodies and bury them.
Just fucking put them in a plane crash. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're the government. You can do anything. Dump them in a volcano. There's YouTube videos.
So many volcanoes.
There's YouTube videos of people just throwing cans into volcanoes.
Exactly.
You can dump a body in there. Nobody would ever know.
Nobody would know. Very dumb and very lucky for Mulder. Then he just talks his way into the morgue. And goes through
really intimidates the shit out of this MP guarding a top secret military facility.
Yeah, he's very lucky that guy was such a dummy.
Right.
Like, holy
he's
shit.
He's very lucky that it appeared to be this guy's first day in the army.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise, like, this guy would have shot them both.
Yeah.
If they tried to walk past him.
It's like his first day, and he's also like 16, and he's just like, "Oh, you can't go there, sir." And he's just like, yeah, he just like talks down to him, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay, you go through." And then of course he calls it in and is like, "Wait a second," and has to go find them. Very lucky also, what happens after that is Mulder goes to the Dallas lab where they're going through the wreckage, and the guy's like, he's like, "Did you find anything else from that lab?" And they're like, "No. I mean, we did find something this morning, actually." Like, they just found those bone fragments. And then Scully walks in as soon as he puts them down, and Mulder's like, "Oh, I'd like her to look at them." She puts them under a microscope. That's it. She just sciences them real quick.
Yeah, she really does. There's a lot of hand waving in this movie, but there's two really major moments of hand waving in this movie.
Yeah. But she puts them under the microscope, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is a thing." And then he's like, "Where did you find this?" And the guy's like, "Well, I'll show you on the map." And that brings them to the Texas town where their plan is to just wander around the town.
Right.
Look for something.
Right. They're just going to, and this is classic Mulder. Like Mulder just goes places and wanders around waiting for something to happen.
Until a vampire pops out or something.
Fucking chupacabra bursts out of the ground.
And in this case, it's a bunch of kids with new bikes.
With new bicycles.
And a little playground. And they're just like, and the kids roast them. Yeah.
Like,
y'all look like door-to-door salesmen.
You look door-to-door salesmen.
It's like,
what if they just like hung their heads and walked back into their car and drove away? Credits roll.
Drove silently, and Scully was like, Mulder, and he's like, I don't want to hear it. Yeah.
And credits.
But the kids just point in a random direction.
Yeah,
and
they point vaguely off to the right, and they're like, "Yeah, the government guys that gave us these bikes and this new playground, they just left like an hour ago. You can probably catch them. They went that way." And then they point,
and then they just drive off.
Yep.
And he wouldn't think they would find anything by doing that.
And not only do they find the tankers that were hauled away from this site, which presumably contained all of the goo from the crashed alien spaceship that's down there.
Right.
But they also find like the secret bee facility and their secret cornfield.
But we'll talk more on that in part 2, Tom.
Oh, and the secret cornfield. That's right.
Our secret cornfield. That'll be next episode.
Getting ahead of myself.
Which means that it's time for our next section. Oh. Unless there's any other luckiness.
Not in the first half.
Yeah, not in the first half. It's again, like you said, it's all
luck. It's just a string of dumb luck. Mulder Kramers his way through this movie.
Absolutely. It's so weird to watch and think about how lucky he gets, because like we talked about this a lot in X-Files episodes. They just sort of, a lot of episodes, they just watch something happen and then they just report it. Like they don't get involved that much. Every now and then Mulder will shoot a sewer monster or cram a mutant in an escalator.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, they always get there after the shit went down, or like they're huddled in the corner while some poltergeist is doing something.
Yeah, they find like Yeti footprints and like a little Roadrunner cloud of dust. It's like, we just missed him, Scully.
Yeah. And this one, it's no different. They just sort of stumble through everything with people just doing stuff to them and telling them places to go. But all right. You wanna slide on into the bar, onto a bar stool, Tom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to show up to a bomb threat and a T-shirt, throw an FBI windbreaker on top of it, wander around in a building across the street until Terry O'Quinn explodes, and then I want to get shit faced at a bar until Glenn Headley throws you out. And then you pee on an ID4 poster until Martin Landau shows up and whips his dick out to pee next to you. Because it's time for Mulder After Dark.
Ooh, spicy. Spicy and yet smooth. You know?
Yeah.
Like a spicy, like a peppered butter.
It's probably like what I imagine the black oil tastes like.
Oh yeah, got it.
What if the black oil is delicious? Yeah, what if it's delicious? I bet it is.
I bet it tastes like truffle oil.
I mean, that's like a key. That would be like a brilliant thing to include in your pathogen to make sure that people spread it as if it's delicious. Make it delicious.
Depressing thought is now we know how people would react to an alien virus.
Oh yeah, we sure do.
And a vaccine. Yeah. It would not be fun. All right, so this is the main meat of the episode. This is where we talk about all the like really unhinged stuff that Mulder does.
The really questionable, inexplicable, buck wild things that Mulder does throughout the course of this adventure.
I want to start by he lucks out, but like if there's a bomb scare in the building next to your building and then a random FBI agent comes in, he's like, I need to search this building. Like that's causing a panic, right? And that in Mulder's mind is not necessary because he has, again, a hunch, but it's more that he's just not taking the assignment seriously, right?
That's the idea. That's because he's in a T-shirt, like we just said.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He doesn't tell anybody except for Scully that that's what he's doing. And it also, judging by the way that like when Mulder gets locked in the room with the bomb because the bomber like soldered the keyhole,
right?
Which for some reason,
why they would do that.
Well, also for some reason that kept the door locked.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. But like Scully has to run out and like tell everybody, like she has to yell at the security guards at the front desk to evacuate the building. It really doesn't seem like Mulder let anyone know that he was even there.
Right, because that's the thing. If Mulder actually thought maybe I have a hunch that the bomb's over here, then you'd evacuate the building.
Right. And by that, I mean, like, obviously we know he didn't tell Terry O'Quinn that he's over there, but I mean, like, I don't think he told anybody in the building that he was there looking for a bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he might have just walked in.
Yeah.
Because I think the idea that they're trying to get across is that Mulder doesn't really care.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about this. Whenever he's not assigned to the X-Files, he always has these where he's like making a jerk-off hand motion, like, whatever. But the assignment is always like terrorists.
Yeah.
And he's like, whatever, they're not aliens. In this case, it's a bomb threat to a federal building. And he's
Dallas.
like,
yeah.
They got us on this shit work, Scully. And it's like, I think it's pretty important.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one matters.
Yeah. I think it's like what the FBI is supposed to do.
Yeah.
When he tells Scully about the bomb, she doesn't believe him right away, which says a lot about their relationship.
Yeah, how many times has Mulder called a fake bomb threat?
Yeah,
to try to like
around.
Right, like either because he thinks it's a delightful prank or because he's like jealous that Scully has other plans, so he calls it a bomb threat.
To like the restaurant she has a date.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the first time he's called her at a restaurant while she's on a date.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, and then so they have to evacuate. Terry O'Quinn stays behind. I love that Mulder, like a dog, tries to run back in the building at the last second.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like Scully has to tell him very correctly. We don't like. There's no time. Like we can't. You can't go running back in, and it explodes like 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
Mulder doesn't care. I guess he's a real hero.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what he thought he was going to prove.
No, I don't know what he was going to do.
Like what his aim was.
Yeah, Terry O'Quinn, he probably didn't need to explode. Like he could have just left and went, I couldn't do it.
Well, they never explain him either.
Yeah, they just say like the government like paid him off.
Yeah.
He says like
he was working for the syndicate or something. Yeah, that's really all they ever say.
It's weird. And then the building explodes and he goes, next time you're buying. It's like Mulder,
a man has died.
Yeah, now it's not appropriate.
Now is not the time.
No.
For your horseshit. And when they first when they first bust him out of the room, like he says, he stands up and points at the bomb because there's like 3 jugs of I forget what it is. It's some sort of reactant to start the explosion. He's like, tell me that's just soda pop in there.
Yeah, he loves his jokes.
Like, have you been sitting on this? Like, he says it as soon as they come in the room. So he had it in the holster. Like, he had it ready.
Yeah, he was sitting there looking at the bomb, sweating and thinking, like, I need a joke.
Yeah.
I'm Mulder, man. They expect that.
They expect a Mulder zinger. Like, they're going to be disappointed.
Do you think that's how he sees himself? As like, he's the cut-up of the FBI? Like, he's the one that all the other agents are like, oh, yeah, gotta always got Mulder with a few wisecracks.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he does think that.
I have no problem believing that about Mulder.
Yeah. So he shows up late to the post-bomb meeting.
He sure does.
Interrupts immediately.
It's a hearing.
Yeah, it's a hearing.
Because they want to determine if there was any negligence involved.
Yeah. No excuses for showing up late. I love that it begins with someone saying, in light of Waco and Ruby Ridge, which I feel like Mulder has heard that start of a sentence a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. Because, they're like, look, we really need someone to blame. And we hear you have a paranormal investigation section, so you're perfect. But yeah, he interrupts immediately, shows up. They have to kick him out. And then they're just throwing them under the bus. And Scully comes out and she's like, I might have to quit. And Mulder says, and I wrote it down, "This isn't about you, Scully. They're doing this to me."
Yeah.
And it's like, Mulder, she has to quit. You selfish bastard.
And then later he's like so weirdly manipulative because like later he tells her the exact opposite.
Yeah, he's like, "What about us, Scully?"
He's like, "You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything." And it's like, what kind of mind games are you playing?
Yeah. He loves doing this. But like it's the thing where he goes in and out of being like he forgets that there's other people. Mulder forgets constantly that other people exist.
He's got goldfish object permanence. Like if you're not in front of him, he forgets you exist.
Yeah, and like he means well, I think.
In general.
So like when he becomes self-aware, he's able to like dial it back, I think. But so like the X-Files, they're off the X-Files, they're splitting up. Scully's getting sent somewhere or quitting, I guess, because they're gonna like transfer her.
Yeah.
So Mulder's gotta go get drunk.
Yep.
On 3 shots.
Yeah.
They
3 shots that he's like daintily sipping.
They do this thing where he's at the bar and he's drunk and the bartender is like, "Oh, you've had enough." And then you see the shot glasses. It's 3.
Yeah.
Going on 4. That's it. Because Mulder, of course. Like, I don't think Mulder drinks that much, as evidenced by the 3 shots.
Yeah, no, he does. We don't really see him drinking that much, no.
No.
It's pretty rare.
The bartender says, "So what do you do?" Mulder says, "What do I do? I'm the key figure in an ongoing government charade, a plot to conceal the truth about the existence of extraterrestrials. It's a global conspiracy, actually, with key players in the highest levels of power, and it reaches down into the lives of every man, woman, and child on this planet. So, of course, no one believes me. I'm an annoyance to my superiors, a joke to my peers. They call me Spooky. Spooky Mulder, whose sister was abducted by aliens when he was just a kid, and now he chases after little green men with a badge and a gun, shouting to the heavens or anyone who will listen that the fix is in, that the sky is falling, and when it hits, it's going to be the shit storm of all time." Beautiful Mulder line.
Yep, perfect.
Drunk Mulder, she immediately cuts him off.
Yeah, she's like, "Okay, Spooky, get out of here."
And yeah.
And I cannot stress enough that the bartender is Glenn Headley for no reason.
Yeah, I think because they could get her.
Yeah.
They were like, "We need celebrities. We need stars." She says, "It looks like 86 is your lucky number." And Mulder replies with, 1 is the loneliest number." And it's like, oh, Mulder.
What do you even...
You sad, sad man.
Yeah.
It's him lobbing a half-assed like pickup line,
right? Like not even he believed in, because he's like he's standing up and leaving as he says it.
Yeah, like he's it's like a real it's like
reflex,
just covering my
almost.
bases. Yeah, like just in case this woman has a sad enough life to be like, I get off in an hour. Let's do this. This is good old rock bottom Mulder. This is Mulder. Like, we've seen rock bottom Mulder, and that's Mulder blowing a man's face off to conceal his identity.
Exactly. To fake his own death.
To
then sneak into the building across the street from where he works.
Oh my God. Yeah, if like a Homeland Security agent like sat next to him at the bar, I'd be like, "Oh God, help that man. Don't go near Mulder right now. He might steal your identity to run into a base as far as he can until he gets tackled." So he goes and pisses on the Independence Day poster.
Yeah, he does. Fuck that poster. Apparently.
When Martin Landau comes up to him and he's like, "I knew your father," and like he says all this government conspiracy stuff, Mulder's reaction is to be annoyed and bored.
Yeah.
And that implies something. That implies that this happens to him all the time.
Yeah. This is not the first random dude to walk up to him while he's peeing in the alley behind this bar.
Right.
To start talking to him about big feet and shit.
Yeah, there's been old men who's like, "I knew your father. Come into this van. I want to tell you something. Put on this blindfold."
Yeah, it's like, "I'm not falling for that again."
Yeah. Like, absolutely. He says, like, "What are you, press?" Because that means also that the press has been doing this to Mulder. Like,
There is
he's
an
such
entire
an easy mark.
I know there must be an entire website just for everyone: press, predators, criminals, grifters. Just here's how to trick Mulder.
Yeah, it's so easy.
It's a homepage, just a big picture of his face.
Yeah, I have evidence about Bigfoot, but first I need your credit card number. Like
he will give it to you, and all you need to do is draw a stick figure with the word Bigfoot and an arrow pointing at it. He has accepted the same thing, basically, as evidence.
He's accepted less, I think, at this point. So yeah, this is like cynical Mulder who's like, I'm not doing this again. He doesn't immediately do the thing he does later, which is look up to see if this guy in fact knew his father. Instead, he shows up at Scully's place at 3 a.m. drunk, banging on the door. The exchange is her going, "Are you drunk, Mulder?" And he goes, I was until about 20 minutes ago. And she very rightly questions, was that before or after you decided to come here?
Yeah.
And Mulder's like, no, get dressed. I'll explain on the way.
We're going to go. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere.
I don't believe Mulder sleeps for the rest of this movie.
No, in point of fact, he collapses in the last scene. You remember? He just fucking, it all catches up to him and he just passes out.
Right. He is forced to sleep by way of bullet later, but we'll get to that. So he says, get dressed. I'll explain the way. At 3 a.m., and what he's not telling Scully is he's going to the morgue with Scully to go look at some dead bodies at 3 a.m. They sneak in and they find the bodies. They're not supposed to be there. And Mulder's like, stay here, Scully. Yeah. I got to go do other things.
And then later, what does he do after this?
He wanders around Martin Landau's apartment.
Right. Yeah. And then there's the police are there like because he has child porn on his computer.
Right. And he says, some other reason you're looking for him? And Mulder says, yeah, I had an appointment for a pelvic examination because Mulder's the cut up. And they all laugh. And he goes out and finds Martin Landau in the alley. And he's like, that's how they're discrediting me.
Like a block away, just like very obviously peeking around the corner. And it's like, man, they're going to see you.
Yeah. And he's just like, FEMA. It's FEMA. They're out to get you. This guy has a reputation for writing these conspiracy books that are like bullshit. In real life, when someone is like, no, it's FEMA, the government's out to get me, that's why there's child pornography in my apartment.
Yeah.
We know which way that's going to
That's all I could think of, because like Martin Landau made it sound like, because he's like, what is it this time? Child porn, or I assaulted one of my patients? They'll say anything to discredit me. And I'm like, I feel like maybe those things are true.
Yeah. He's like, it's the deep state is trying to cancel me. Yeah. It's cancel culture.
Yeah.
It's, like any other time. This is, we talk about this a lot. Mulder gets lucky a lot by believing people who in any like 99.99% of the time would be maniacs, would be exactly what they're accused of being.
Right. He's basically talking to Alex Jones in this alley.
Yeah. And so Mulder just chooses to believe this guy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Scully is hiding in the morgue from security. It's like
one of my favorite parts of the entire movie is she's hiding in the morgue because the army guys finally wised up that they're not actually supposed to be there. So she first has to hide in the body freezer, essentially. And then Mulder. So the military and like a couple of government spooks are in the autopsy room while she's hiding in the freezer, searching around. So it's like a real, like she's, got to keep quiet so they don't find her. And then her phone rings because it's Mulder. And then he's like, what did you find? She's like, Mulder, I can't really talk now. Well, because he's like, why are you whispering? Like he forgot where he left her.
Oh, he absolutely forgot.
And then he's like, oh, well, what'd you find? And then she tells him, well, it's really strange. Like it's clear this guy's tissue's been deteriorating from the inside. It seems to be some sort of infection. And then Mulder says, okay, I'm going home.
Yes.
Well, she's like trapped in a locker, about to either be killed on sight or go to military prison. Yeah, and he's like, well, I'm going home to buy some plane tickets. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. I gotta, Scully, listen, I haven't rubbed one out in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
I gotta get home.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's 5 a.m. And also the phone call ends with Scully being like, "Oh my God, Mulder," and like hanging up.
Yeah, she has to hang up really abruptly.
And Mulder just looks at the phone like, "That was rude,"
That was weird.
and hangs up. And he never follows up.
No,
he never.
They cut to the next morning where they're already meeting to get on the plane, and that's like the first major time that this movie just hand waves. They just yada yada over how the fuck she gets out of there without getting caught.
Right. She's just laying under bodies, thinking about her life.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 a.m. She should have like a career.
It's 5 a.m. I should be sleeping.
Yeah, she should be sleeping.
Yeah. Not cutting up bodies in a morgue for my weird partner.
Yeah, who doesn't give a fuck about
who seems to have forgotten where he left me.
Yeah, and yeah, she has to escape somehow on her own. They go to wait, I think the first time he sees her, isn't it investigating the bones?
Maybe.
Where he's like, "I'd like this woman." Like he just goes and does other stuff without her until she catches up.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she says later, like, "You didn't have to spend a half hour in cold storage or whatever."
Really yada yada.
Yeah. And that's when they meet the kids. They go into the desert. They're faced with a question, which is they drive down the road and then there's a fork. You can either go left or right. And Scully's like, "I think they went right." And Mulder's like, "I think they went left." And so he drives directly forward into the desert.
Yep.
To perhaps starve to death. It's just Mulder doing what he does best, which is just driving Scully into the abyss.
Yeah,
on a batshit hunch,
heading headfirst into a hostile, unforgiving environment with no preparation and no exit strategy. And this is not the last time he will do this in this film.
No, it is not. And I think that's where we have to move on.
I think that's it. Yeah, that's kind of where we have to stop for now.
Yeah, but we could talk about fireable offenses. That's our next section.
Yeah, I mean, definitely breaking, bluffing your way into a military facility for sure.
Right, because don't they get their badges?
You would, so like, they flash them, you would assume.
Yeah, they got to sign in or something. Like
they don't sign anything.
They know it's them.
They bluffed. They bluffed so hard past this kid.
There's got to be security.
Kid is so
cameras.
dopey. Yeah, you would assume.
Yeah. Also, just not treating the bomb threat correctly. Like I know he lucks out. He gets stupid lucky. Mm-hmm. But had the bomb not been in that building and had it gone off, they'd be like, "And where were you?" And they're like, "Oh, on the roof of the other building," or "Oh, we were getting a soda in the other building." Yeah. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, that's probably not a thing you should do.
Yeah, but mostly it's breaking into that facility and also just, as always, disappearing for days and days and continuing to disappear for days in this movie.
Yeah. But honestly, that's kind of it in this first half. They don't really do anything terribly wrong during the bomb sequence, apart from not being in the right building.
Yeah. But he is still a maniac.
Yeah, of course.
And I guess we'll get into Name the Enabler. This is us pointing out who needs to stop doing this to Mulder. In this case, I think it's Martin Landau.
Martin Landau, yeah. Like, Mulder was ready to just drop this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a call from Martin Landau, like, keep digging. And it's like, oh, don't tell him to do that.
Don't tell him to do that, man. You don't know what's going to happen there.
You don't know what this man is capable of. You might get stuffed in a trunk because of this. Also, like, I can't stress enough where he's like, it's a big government thing. Should we meet somewhere, like, private? Like, no, let's just keep showing up at this bar.
Keep showing up in the same alley.
Yeah. It's like, like, even when people are, like, clearly watching us.
Right, and it's
matter.
it's the same bar that they always go to in the show. So it's like, this is just where people who work in Washington go. Yeah.
And Mulder, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Mulder is just like screaming about this stuff in the streets and stuff throughout the movie. And it's just like, discretion, Mulder, discretion. Man, and now we don't have Crazy Like a Fox, which means we're wrapping this up.
We are, yeah. That's it. You guys are going to have to join our Patreon to hear part 2 and hear what our rating ends up being. It's going to be pretty intense.
Also, part 2 is going to be real juicy. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of shit.
There's 2 big set pieces. And so if you're interested, you go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. along with Fox Mulder as a Maniac, we also have another weekly exclusive podcast called Tom and Jeff Watch Batman. We also have a monthly show called Star Trek: The Next Futurama. And then we watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. That's a different tier. There's a lot of options on there, but the baseline, $5 a month, will get you this show and 2 other shows. So that's a pretty good deal.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic deal, Dave. You guys should all jump on that immediately. We also have a store at tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed where you can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out. Do it.
Check it out.
And, leave us a review.
Yeah.
It helps, it helps us out a lot.
On that store, we're going to have some new...
we're going to have some new Mulder merch pretty soon.
New Mulder merch.
Specifically Mulder merch.
Some pretty intense Mulder merch. So keep your eyes out for that.
Indeed.
And
I think that's it.
That's it. Any other things we need them to do? Vote.
Vote, yeah.
Get out there and vote. There's not an election right now, but
yeah.
In general.
In general, Pokemon go to the polls.
Yeah. Don't trust FEMA.
Mm-hmm. Definitely don't trust FEMA. Like, not just for this. But
yeah.
Also just like historically.
Yes, for a lot of
maybe
things.
Don't trust FEMA. Don't depend on FEMA, I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, buy waters, cases of water. What else? Like, should they arm themselves?
I guess. I don't know, maybe invest in gold.
Invest in gold.
Mm-hmm.
Buy our brain pills. That we will...
definitely. There is almost no sawdust in them.
Almost
very little sawdust.
You need a little bit of sawdust.
Mm-hmm.
It's for flavor. Mm-hmm. So
it's refreshingly little sawdust in our brain pills.
Artwork for Fox Mulder as a Maniac is produced by Starlene Hodge. Follow her on Twitter at StarleneX. That's Starlene with an X. Or check out her delightful webcomic at rubywhipple.com.